everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, August 28th, 2016. Another day, another black bag slipped over Adam's head, another kidnapping of Adam, just your average everyday in Wisconsin. Genoa City, Wisconsin, that is. Oh, the crazy lives of these people. Oh, backing up from that, and let's just talk about what led up to Adam's over-the-head black bag kidnapping. Adam learns right before his hearing that the guard, who he choked out in his cell last week, has slipped into a coma. And so this feeling of overwhelming guilt is playing in Adam's head as he is supposed to stand there and tell a judge that he's not guilty. In fact, his lawyer, Michael, is trying to convince him to plead insanity so that he can get off these charges altogether. But Adam doesn't feel innocent. He understands that he did something wrong. And it's such a fine time to start punishing yourself for crimes committed. It's like, why now? Why now decide to grow a conscience and plead guilty to the crime? Adam refuses to stand there and say, I did nothing wrong or that he was insane. He decides he just wants to come clean. It was so bizarre. It was so very un-Adam-like. I'm watching the man, I'm looking in his face and seeing that he is inches away from freedom and tossing it away because of his overwhelming sense of guilt. And while I understand that he is in a bad place right now and he feels guilty and he's right to have some sense of consciousness over what happened to this guard who has a family of his own, I just think this is Adam Newman we're talking about here. He should be doing everything that he can do to get out of there, to go back to his family. And to boot, everyone, including Dylan. Even Dylan seems to understand that Adam was under extreme duress when the attack happened, when the guard was choked out. I mean, Dylan gets that, the lawyers get that, the family gets that. People who don't normally support Adam seem to get that. Everyone gets it except for Adam. Even Nick has this total turnaround moment. Nick was anti-Adam for the past several months. I mean, Nick was right at the forefront saying, I believe Adam probably did kill Constance. And as soon as it came to light that there were these extra diary pages and that Victor was the one responsible, Nick all of a sudden turns around, realizes what Adam has been going through, sees what his own father has done to his brother's life, and decides to actually go to visit Adam in prison after the guilty plea, after the judge bangs the gavel and everyone in the courtroom is shell-shocked. Adam goes back and has this meeting with Nick, and it had to have been one of the most bizarre scenes that I think I've seen on Y&R in quite a while. It was odd to see not only like brother and these two brothers bonding after all of these years. Nick and Adam have never been close, and here they are bonding together, like holding hands, and Adam actually asks Nick to be a father to Connor. Adam is sacrificing himself, just accepting the fact that he is going to be in jail for who knows how long at this point in the story, and reaching out to the brother that he's never really had much of a relationship with, asking him to be a father to his own son. Teach him how to be a Newman. Teach him how to do it your way. Teach him how to navigate Victor, how to be a good man and not be pulled in, sucked into the entire Newman world while still having an acceptance of who he is. I think this is the most interaction that I have ever seen between Nick and Adam ever. I can't even imagine a time where Nick and Adam have talked for this long. It's usually quips back and forth, or very minimal interactions, and all of a sudden it was practically a love fest. I mean, Adam is telling Nick how much he respects him, and Nick is trying to accept the compliment and also boost Adam up. It was weird. Did anybody else just think, I'm watching this and I'm like, this is weird? It was honestly probably one of the first moments in light of the new executive producer and all of the new changes behind the scenes at YNR, where I was watching it thinking, this kind of doesn't seem realistic. This seems way out of left field to me. And I know it's an odd moment for me to be thinking that about, but just the affection between these two brothers being so like bubbling over when there's been zero before, I couldn't believe it. It just felt really weird and out of place to me. Adam could have taught his own son about life. If he just would have followed his lawyer's advice, he could have been out and seeing Connor learn how to throw a baseball and teaching him how to do all of these other things. Adam could have done that for his son on his own. I mean, this feeling of guilt out of Adam's, and this willingness to sacrifice his relationship with his son and his wife does seem out of left field to me. I appreciated the intimacy between the two men, but at the same time, I'm like, this doesn't seem like Adam Newman to me. Was I the only one who had that reaction? I guess it's just, of course, all setting up Justin Hartley's eventual absence from the show, presumably, and I think probably a setting up a scenario where Nick and Chelsea become very close. Nick is already taking his responsibility very seriously when it comes to Connor. He has accepted that if Adam can't do this right thing, or if Adam can't be there for his own son, then Nick does want to be there. Nick has recently lost a child, and so I think Nick is taking it extra to heart, wanting to go there and be there for Connor and go and be there for Chelsea too. I'm not quite sure if that's what Adam had in mind. Was that part of the plan? There was part of me that thought, well, if Adam is in this self-sacrificing mode and he's going to tell Nick to go raise his son, why not go tell him to keep his wife company while he's at it? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how far Adam is willing to take this. The very next day, we have the sentencing hearing over everything that happened with the guard, and the judge gives Adam 10 more years in jail, which again, the judge did say that the ruling was contingent on the guard's condition. So right there, we have the opening for Adam to get out of this whole mess. I'm sure that at some point down the road, whenever Adam decides to make the full comeback into Genoa City, I'm sure that we'll see the guard make a miraculous recovery at about the same time, and the charges will be revisited, and maybe they'll even mention something about the fact that he was in prison falsely in the first place. That was not really even brought up at this particular trial. I think maybe that's usual, maybe that's normal, that you wouldn't bring in the circumstances of the other trial, but I would think it would be special circumstances that you might want to note that he was an innocent man in prison, and there were a lot of other mental issues and other outside issues and other outside people that had to do with everything that led up to the guard's strangling, but all of that was just thrown right out the window when Adam pleaded guilty. So Adam accepts his sentence. He pretty much says nothing. He just gets shuffled away in chains. I mean, he has this final moment with Chelsea where she's, frantically looking at him. She can't believe that he's doing this. This is not the man that she knows. And he's just looking blank-faced, saying nothing. Next thing we know, Adam is getting transported back to the jail. He's in a jail van with a couple of guards. I knew something was going to happen as soon as we had that outdoor scene. He gets into the van, and out of nowhere, one of the guards puts a bag over his head, and first they like gave him something, put something over his mouth, I guess, to shut him up, or maybe it was some crazy knockout juice they to knock him out. They put the bag over his head, and I'm telling you, the moment that bag came into frame, I knew that there was one person and one person only who was responsible for this little shenanigan. Next thing we know, Adam shows up at a cabin, and of course, it's Victor Newman who's pulling off the bag and revealing that he has masterminded the plan to get Adam out of jail. What an amazing series of scenes at that cabin. I was blown away. It was such an incredible mix of emotions. I mean, going all the way back into the history of this father-son relationship. And I really, for the first time, started having an actual sense of Victor's remorse, which I needed. I'm not saying that he's absolved and that I completely forgive him for everything he's done to Adam and everyone else, but it was a really important first step, I thought. Victor just simply looked at Adam and said, I went too far. I did frame you for this, and it was too much, and I don't feel good about it. He just said, I don't feel good about this. So he's going to do whatever he can to help Adam correct it. He has broken him out of prison, and in Victor's mind, he's giving him the keys to his freedom. Just run away, go away. I'll do whatever I can to try to cover it up, to cover your tracks, to help you start a new life with Chelsea somewhere else. And Adam starts to, of course, he's naturally questioning of it, thinking that Victor is going to screw him over just like he did when he framed him and got him put into prison in the first place, saying, how do I know that you're not going to double cross me? You think you're just going to walk away, never see Connor again? That doesn't sound like Victor Newman. And Victor says to him, I'm willing to let you go. I didn't have a relationship with my parents, and maybe that's what is best for you. You know, obviously this relationship that we have between us is not healthy, and I'm willing to let you go live your life. I will never contact you again. You'll never see my face again. This is what I have to do to try to make good on what I did. It was an actual sacrificial moment on Victor's part. And he said to Adam, look, we've both hurt each other a lot, and they have, but I've hurt you more. So this is what I'm willing to do. And I mean, if you think back about the history of the relationship, I've always said it was Adam who fired the first shot against Victor. It was Adam who had resentment toward his father. It was Adam who partnered with Jack to forge the diary and did something similar to Victor. Victor got his butt thrown in jail over a very similar situation. But Victor is supposed to be the bigger man. Victor is supposed to be the father, the leader, the example, and he never was that. Instead of countering the bad things that Adam did with love and kindness, Victor fought Adam back as if he were an enemy, as if he were Jack Abbott, and then the history of that explosive relationship just kind of unfolded in front of us all. But I loved hearing him acknowledge, and me having a sense that they've both done horrible things to each other, and at least finally now, after everything that's happened, Victor was willing to try to put an end to it, to say let's if we can't be a positive influence in each other's lives, let's just not do it anymore. And it was such a touching scene to me. Of course, they start playing a variation of the Y&R theme over the scene as Victor goes to walk out the door, leaving Adam. I mean, Adam even like touched Victor and called him dad touched his hand right before he left, and wanted to almost say, I think, that he loved him, or wanted to. I feel like there was this desire in the room to say, I love you, and this isn't what I want, it's just what I am, on both men's parts, and they just couldn't say it because they're so alike. The YNR music playing in the background, the tears welling up in my eyes. I thought it was incredible. I just loved that scene. I loved this twist. I think the two actors together play off each other so very well. It was gut-wrenching. It was a hard transition to go from Michael Mooney playing the role of Adam and the dynamic that he had with Eric Braeden, and Justin Hartley just picked up that torch and he just ran with it, and I just think these two actors are magic together. I'm gonna be so sad if we don't end up getting Justin Hartley back. I feel like, in a way, Victor letting Adam go, I as a viewer am going, am I letting Adam go? Am I letting Justin Hartley go to go pursue his other projects? I love him enough to want him to be happy, but I also want him in my life on YNR. I'm gonna be so sad if he doesn't end up coming back. But it was good, and of course, the police have realized that Adam has escaped, and they're chasing their tails trying to figure out where he went. Of course, ultimately, they figure out that Victor is the one behind it, but Victor's back at the ranch hanging out in his jeans and black t-shirt before they're even the wiser. They show up to question him, and he's already back. He's already helped Adam escape and given him the keys to his freedom. So there's not a whole lot that they can go on. There's not a whole lot they can really do to catch Victor on this. Now, I honestly feel that one of the most surprising twists within this twist was the fact that Nikki was kind of in on it. I was surprised beyond belief at the beginning of the week that there was all this suspicion surrounding Victor from everyone in the family. Abby, Dylan, everybody is saying, is there any chance Victor did set Adam up for this? And Nikki has been a staunch supporter of Victor every time that's come up over the past several weeks, or since she decided to forgive him. And she does take a moment to ask him one more time, did you set Adam up? Are you responsible for all of this? And in a very unexpected twist, Victor just admits to it. He just says, I don't think he was completely explicit, but it was implicit to her that, yeah, I did it, and I feel really ashamed about it. I expected more lies. I expected, as she questioned him, for more of the lies, the same old lies, to come rolling off his lips the way they always do. And I would think I was even more surprised by the way that Nikki took it. I would have entirely expected, based on history and everything we know about these characters and everything that they've always been through, I would have expected Nikki to get all huffy and leave him. And again, instead, she just said to him, look, I know who you are. And more importantly, I know what you are. She actually said that. I know who and what you are. I'm not surprised. I didn't just marry you yesterday. I've known you for almost my entire life. You've been pretty much the single most influential character on my entire life. This is not a surprise to me. And that felt so very real. That felt like a Nikki that I've been wanting to see for so long. Not the one who decides to ignore all of the bad things that Victor does, but the one who actually takes a moment to accept who she's married to. And I kind of like that Nikki ended up sort of being in on this whole plan to get Adam out of jail. What a huge twisty twist surprise. I thought that was fabulous. It was a huge risk on Nikki's part. It puts her in a position where she is going to have to directly lie to Dylan, who is investigating Victor in all of that. It puts her in a position where she could go to jail, but instead of just saying she's standing by Victor. She's actually standing by Victor and embracing his Victorness, embracing his decisions. And I, for one, thought it was fabulous, but I have to know what you guys think about that. For me, that was one of the pivotal moments of the week, and I'm dying to know how the other fans reacted to it. So that's this week's poll question at yrchat.com. Victor and Nikki, partners in crime? Is this what you want? Is this what you expect? I mean, do you think that Victor and Nikki are better working together, accepting kind of who Victor is and working together to do whatever, whether it's correcting what Victor views as a wrong and trying to use another wrong to turn it into a right, or if it's storylines in the future. Are Victor and Nikki better together being partners in crime, or are you of the perspective that maybe this is a step backwards? Is Nikki putting herself in undue harm? Is she accepting a life with a man who is not good for her, and is she gonna ultimately end up getting herself into more trouble than he's worth? So yrchat.com, please vote in that poll and sound off. Tell me how you feel about Nikki and Victor being partners in crime. I mean, I tell you, I feel like if Victor is what and who Victor is, and if Nikki and Victor will always and only love each other, then maybe it is better that they're in on it together. That's just my opinion. But I really cannot wait, among all things, to hear how you guys perceived that this week. Chelsea, of course, is at home waiting in panic. She's learned that Adam has escaped. She has no idea what has happened to him, and the cops are swarming the condo, and Nikki drops by and she drops off this little toy phone, what is perceived as a toy phone, to Connor, and it's actually going to end up being Chelsea's only form of communication, a direct line to Adam. It was so unexpected and so cool to see everybody else in the room think that Nikki was kind of drunk or that she was a little off her rocker, at least, because she just works her way into the condo, makes a beeline for Connor, starts playing with him, talking with him, and everybody's looking at her like she's insane, and it's probably the middle of the night at this point. And she finally just gets up and says, you know what, I'm sorry, he's probably really tired. She goes in to give Chelsea a hug and whispers in her ear that the phone she just handed Connor is not a toy, that it's programmed with Adam's number, and that's how Chelsea can contact him. And Chelsea was just stunned by this. She's so happy that this has happened, that she actually has a little bit of hope, and I think she's just as taken aback as the viewers were that Nikki and Victor are actually coming through for her and actually helping her at least get through some of the mess that Victor created. So that was such a wonderful moment. And Adam, of course, is sitting in that cabin just waiting for Chelsea to call. Victor handed him a phone also and said, now it's time to make the most important pitch of your life. Meaning you're gonna have to convince Chelsea to come with you. So, gosh, it's just up to Adam, I suppose, to convince his wife to go. I hope she says yes, because Adam has no choice. At this point, the decision to run has been made for him, but I can't imagine that she would say no. I mean, I feel like the Chelsea that we're seeing now, the one who was willing to go to Ian Ward and make that deal to get Adam out of prison, I can't imagine that after everything and how desperate she's feeling, she wouldn't leap at the opportunity to snatch up Connor and run away with Adam and start a new life that they really should have started a long time ago. It wasn't even maybe a couple weeks ago that I think she was reminiscing about the idea that she should have just moved to Paris with Adam in the first place before Victor kind of screwed her over and ended up taking over ownership or at least some rights in her company. But at the same time, I can't imagine that two main characters are just going to run away from Genoa City forever, and only one of them is working on a TV project and is needing some time off. So, and plus, Y&R is really setting up this Nick and Chelsea relationship. That writing is on the wall. Nick is in. I mean, ultimately, I think it's a fairly safe bet to say Chelsea's not going to go anywhere. Nick is going to be there looking after Connor, looking after Chelsea. So I'm thinking either Chelsea like decides not to go for one reason or another, or that Adam won't let her go. I am kind of anticipating that there might be a heartbreaking scene next week where Adam says, I don't want this life on the run for you and for my son. He's already set up this whole Nick thing. So I wonder if Adam is, the Adam who is feeling guilty, who stood there and pled guilty to a crime, I wonder if that guy is feeling like he is a toxic influence on his wife and his son's life. And I kind of wonder if Adam's just gonna not tell her where he is and just say goodbye. I'm worried that the last phone call that looks so hopeful now on Friday's show is by the time we roll around to Monday or Tuesday going to end up being a little bit of a goodbye until, of course, we find out that the guard has made a complete recovery and we can get those charges against him dropped. And at that time, I think that when Adam comes back to Genoa City, I'm worried that he's going to find that his wife is moving on with his brother. Well, since we're not ultimately going to have a wedding in Genoa City, at least we got a pre-wedding party wherein we can chitter-chatter about some of this fashion, some of the wedding fashion. You know I'm going to talk about that this week. We had a little, I guess, it was a rehearsal dinner or engagement party for Summer and Luca, and everybody was there dressed to their nines. So I have to tell you my best and worst dressed here. For me, I thought the best dressed was Victoria. I mean, I'm in kind of a Victoria mood right now, but I thought she looked beautiful in that dress it had kind of that big bow on top and that big fluffy skirt. I thought she looked gorgeous, although I will say my fairly close second runner-up was Sharon. I thought she looked just lovely in kind of this, I don't know, was it like a light teal or light aqua kind of colored dress with these silver sparkly sequins all over. I thought she looked beautiful. I liked Nikki's dress. I liked the pearl and diamond necklace she had on. It went really nicely with the kind of aqua dress that she had. Phyllis's dress didn't really do much for me. Phyllis, considering it was her daughter, she was sort of the most boringly dressed at the party. But I don't know, maybe that was just me. I can't even say that I feel like anybody was worst dressed, but I didn't love what Summer was wearing. I feel kind of bad for saying that, but like it needed a halter top or something. It was a little, the dress needed, I'll just say it needed a built-in bra, or it needed to be brought up or something. It was a little droopy on top. I'm sorry. The dress itself was beautiful, but it seemed a little ill-fitting on top. We'll say it like that. But those are just my opinions, my humble opinions, as the non-fashionista that I am. More importantly, I would love to get your best and worst dressed for the week. So while you're at yrchat.com or wherever you're listening or watching to YNR Chat, I would love to hear your best dressed of the week and your worst dressed of the week for the wedding party. I don't know, is the worst dressed, are a lot of people gonna say Daniel? Oh my, how do we feel about Daniel's beard? That was a little bit of a shock, seeing him on my screen. I think, as I've mentioned many times, I tend to remember characters as they were in their early days or when I was first introduced to them, whatever they were, whether they were a new character or an established character. I remember them, I think, how they were in the beginning of my tenure. And so I always think of Daniel as kind of this fresh-faced guy, and he got a little hipster with his longer hair later in the show, and I think he did have a beard at one point, but the Wyatt beard was a little bit shocking. He definitely looks older. I think this is not the same old Daniel that we've seen. I laughed that Phyllis told him he looked like a Civil War reenactment. I think there was somebody else I think had a joke about the beard that I can't remember now, but I liked that sense of humor was played in there on maybe the viewers being a little bit shocked to have not seen this character in so long, and then to see him kind of with this alternative sort of look. But that's sort of the thing about Daniel. He always did kind of have this alternative vibe going on, and it was kind of nice to see him back again, I thought. It was also really nice to see Noah back again, getting drunk at Summer's party, knowing that he can't do anything to stop Summer from marrying this man who he absolutely knows is a Mr. Sleazeball. I kind of liked that Daniel was trying to talk Noah down, even though I think Noah was in the right. It was nice to see Daniel just kind of interacting and being that protective big brother. And hey, how about the Daniel and Mariah moment? Did I call that or what? I said that like 3 weeks ago that was gonna be the thing surrounding Daniel's return. I mean, for crying out loud, that not only is Daniel's relationship with Cassie, it was such a pivotal moment in Y&R and in both of those characters' history, but it also was the spark for Phyllis and Nick's whole relationship. I would love to see Daniel interact with Lily. I mean, it's so cool that Phyllis stood there and listed all of Daniel's romantic involvements over the years, and I'm sure that was not a coincidence that she was listing all of his former wives and girlfriends right before he met Mariah, looking stunned. I mean, he would have to be, but I thought that it was kind of neat to see them together. I wonder if there's any chance that they're testing this for a possible return of Daniel. I would be open to it. What do you guys think? Would you like to see Daniel come back more on a long-term basis, or at least kind of recurring? I don't know. I thought that it was an interesting chemistry potential there between Mariah and Daniel, and I kind of miss Daniel's sensibility too. There's something about him that is unique and that I don't think we see with the other guys on the show. And it'd be maybe kind of good to see Daniel versus Kevin. Maybe Daniel needs to get up in there and knock some sense into Kevin too, the way he tried to into Noah. So just as everyone in Summer's family is like gritting their teeth through the wedding toasts, Travis decides to trade his tank top for a suit and he struts in just in time to save the day, to tell everyone about Luca's involvement with the oil spill, with absolutely no evidence, of course. I mean, Travis walks in as if his mere presence somehow proves that Luca did anything wrong, when in fact it was just his word against Luca's. So Summer perceives that as just one more way that her family is trying to keep her from marrying him, and she doesn't take too kindly to it. I think it's very hard for one reason or another for Summer to trust her family even just a little bit, and it probably is because no one really has been able to present any solid evidence against Luca. It really has been hearsay up until this week. So Summer and Luca go back to her apartment, and it's kind of obvious that Luca's ready to skip town. He's like, let's not mess around with the wedding here tomorrow. Let's go off to the islands and elope. And I think that it was obvious to Summer and obvious to the audience at that point that Luca was feeling the heat, that he was kind of ready just to get out of town and wanted to take her with him. So when Summer throws up a little of resistance and then just kind of asks him about Travis's accusations, he pretty much said, fine, I did it, fine. I really didn't want it to come to this, but the truth is I wanted to prove myself at Newman Enterprises, so I rigged the oil disasters. I went too far, but we're still cool, right? I'm gonna run upstairs and get our bags and we'll pack and we'll be off to the islands. And that's not exactly what Summer had in mind. I was proud of her. Did we all just have a collective slow clap when Summer finally stands up for herself and tells Luca, I'll go with you to, to the police because you're going to call the cops and you're going to confess to what you just did, or I'm going to do that for you. Finally, Summer gets a backbone. Luca's trying to talk his way out of it. She's not letting him. At the very least, she's got to be thinking about how she's been here before with a man lying to her, and that she doesn't need to repeat the same mistake and marry Luca the way she married Austin, only to find out later the depths of the lies, and that the lies will continue. And if you allow someone to lie to you once, they'll just continue to do it and think that it's okay. So she's having an argument with him when Jack just so happens to be coming by. I think because there was a kind of a cool little moment at the wedding party when when Summer is looking to someone in the room for camaraderie, someone to understand her relationship with Luca. And she says, Jack, you understand why I have to stand by my man, right? And Jack just says nothing and slowly backs toward Phyllis, puts his arm around her, and without saying so says, yeah, I understand. I'm supporting your mother. This is my wife. I'm going to do what I think needs to be done for her. And it was a really kind of nice a moment where I think it said a lot by saying absolutely nothing. And I'm wondering if Jack was going to drop by just to further address that, so that Summer didn't feel abandoned by him because he made that decision not to support her. But he comes on in the door, hears them arguing, and from the previews of Monday's show, it looks like Luca's just out of the blue going to start threatening to hurt Summer, like saying that, yeah, if you back off, Jack, or I'll hurt her. He had no weapon. I don't know what he's gonna do, strangle her or something. I don't know. I was surprised that out of nowhere that Luca would turn that desperate. I mean, the fact that he would say that he loves her and then turn around and threaten her are not only the actions of a desperate man, but the actions of someone who's actually sick in the head. Look what I found! Navy and white striped tank. Last week, I was going through my closet trying to find something navy and white to match our seascape boating sailing adventure with Victoria and Travis. I couldn't find anything, and you're never gonna believe this, as I was literally putting away what I was wearing last week for YNR Chat, I saw this navy and white tank staring at me. Why did I not see this for last week? I was so disappointed, but then I decided, you know what, forget it. I'm gonna extend our sailing adventure for one more week, and I'm gonna wear the navy and white stripes. I'm a little sad that our adventure is over, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, that boat was starting to look a little claustrophobic to me. I'm like, can you even imagine that Travis would have the idea that it would be cool to just sail around in that obviously little one-person boat with Victoria and her 3 kids? They would have to reinvest in a yacht or something, because I'm even thinking I wouldn't want to spend one night trapped in that tiny little boat. Even no matter how close you want to be with somebody, like, I don't know about the bathroom situation in that little boat. I would need to get some fresh air. I think I would just, it was like, even as they stood up together and they were like kissing and talking, they seemed to be shoveling around in these little tight quarters, and I'm like, I could not be that close to anybody for very long. So I was like, the fresh boating scenes of last week sort of dwindled out for me a little bit as the reality started sinking in. And I think that's kind of how Victoria and Travis felt too. It was a fantasy last week, and then after they had their sex scene, all of a sudden I think the reality started sinking in that it's not something that they can really continue to do. It's not very practical. So Victoria returns to Genoa City, happy that she was able to share one final moment with Travis, but of course crushed to know that it's finally over at this point. She comes back into town though, and she's developing this very close relationship with Billy. He's become her confidant. She told Billy, all about the trip, that she slept with Travis, and exactly how she feels about it. And in fact, Billy is staying with Victoria. She offered to let him move in since Jill has taken over the mansion with Colin. By the way, I am so glad that Colin is back. I thought it was hilarious that Billy and Kane walked in on Jill and Colin making out in the lab this week. I just think it's been so much fun. I mean, I bet that this whole summer run for Jess Walton has really been a blast. She's gotten a lot of good lines, a lot of attention. I think she's a lot of fun with Colin. With or without Colin, I think she's a lot of fun. And in my opinion, Jill is exactly what this show has been needing and wanting and begging for so long. I'm going to be so sad when she goes back, and probably will go back on recurring status at a certain point. But for now, I bet it's been a blast for the actress, and it's been a blast for me, certainly. It's as if Jill's plan for Billy is kind of working on the surface, given the fact that she kicked him out and now he's back kind of staying at Victoria's house. But I tell ya, I am starting to have kind of an alternate belief on what's going to happen with Billy and Victoria. I'm thinking that the closeness that we're seeing develop between those two is more about creating some jealousy for Phyllis and for Travis than it is about an actual reunion of Billy and Victoria. Because it's clear that Victoria is not over Travis. It's clear that Phyllis and Billy are not over each other. Phyllis had that weird wedding fantasy this week, which stylistically and from a story perspective, I thought it was kind of cool. She's looking into a magazine, seeing a bride, and all of a sudden she becomes the bride. And it was a neat little kind of camera trick and a neat sort of way to portray what Phyllis is feeling on the inside. But at the same time, if she's fantasizing about being married to Billy, then it's definitely time to step away from Jack. If it's just that you wanted to have sex with Billy, I could see maybe deciding not to pursue that. But the fact that she is actively fantasizing about building a life with Billy means it's over with Jack. So let's just get it over with. Just my opinion at this point. I think that Jack is so hopelessly devoted to her and she's not to him. So it's not reciprocal, not working. We need to move on. I don't know, likewise, I kind of feel like Travis coming back had less to do with Summer than it had to do with Victoria. I think that Travis is going to begin to feel jealous of Billy's place in Victoria's life in a similar way that Phyllis will start to feel jealous about Victoria's place in Billy's life. I liked seeing Travis come back over to Victoria's house. We haven't seen Victoria's house in a while. It was kind of neat to see him in her environment. It's just nice to see Travis outside of the bar environment. I thought he looked good in his suit. I liked seeing him hanging out at Victoria's, them starting to make out. I for one am totally thrilled about this couple, but strangely I think maybe the majority of YNR chatters aren't. I think I am alone on a boat for the Victoria and Travis relationship. Last week's poll question was Travis and Victoria summer fling or wedding rings. 59% said it's just a summer fling. Aw, I'm sad. I voted wedding rings. 41%. I'm ready to marry these two. I love it. I don't know why. I think that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Travis just warmed up on me because I was not this big of a fan of his when we were at the bar, and just I must have been little by little, all of a sudden I just started feeling the heat, and now I want these two to be together, and I'm realizing that I'm alone out here, or mostly alone out here. So that's kind of a bummer, but I'll respect your opinions on Travis and Victoria, and you never know, they could take you over by storm too. On Monday's show, Travis and Victoria are actually making out in the living room when Billy walks through the front door. And I really am just hoping that Victoria gets a chance to explain why Billy is there and Travis doesn't just decide to get all paranoid and jealous and walk away from what could be a really good thing for them both. It's interesting to me that Hillary knows a little something about Neil that even his family doesn't know. Hillary came in and dropped the real info this week on Neil's relationship with his mother. I mean, Hillary was not only married to him, but apparently we're now learning that there was a point in their marriage where Neil was receiving letters to not only to him from his mother, but to the entire family. And Hillary snatched them. Neil was trying to throw them away, but Hillary was secretly keeping them. I mean, Neil's mother is someone who is trying to reach out to him, trying to reach out to his daughter, wanting to be involved in her grandchildren's lives, and it's actually Neil who's putting up the roadblocks. That's something that he didn't want everyone to know. He was painting a very different portrait for everyone. So as Hillary actually hands over that stack of letters to Lily, it was a bizarre moment of Hillary feeling like the hero, like she was actually doing something good for the Winters family, and it was at the same time kind of destructive to the Winters family as Lily has to decide what to do. Devon finds out about it, and Neil ultimately has to confess a little more about who his mother really is, that she was someone who cheated on his father. And I tell you, this surprised me too. So I guess Neil's mother cheated on his father, and then his father remarried Malcolm's mother. I didn't know that. I don't think I knew that. I don't remember ever YNR saying that Neil and Malcolm were half brothers. Do you guys recall that? I mean, it didn't matter to me because ultimately they were brothers for all intents and purposes, but it's just little details about Neil and his life and his family that I certainly didn't know, and I thought it was very interesting. I loved that Hillary was right in the middle of it too, that she kind of also tied it back to her and said, okay, I understand that basically at this point you don't want to forgive your mother. I think he said she was an alcoholic too. You don't want to forgive her for cheating on your father, but can you forgive me? Can you forgive me for cheating on you, even if you can't forgive your mother? It really also, it gave us some extra backstory on Neil, but it also explained a little bit more about maybe why Neil had such the reaction that he did when it came to Devon and Hillary cheating on him. I mean, nobody would want that. Everybody would hate, realizing that your wife was cheating on you with your son, but maybe it explains why he went to the trouble of following them and trying to set Devon up, making it look like he was cheating and showing Hillary the video of it and all that. I mean, maybe it was, maybe Neil was kind of having a flashback or feeling like Hillary was more like his mother than he would have liked. But I think I'm kind of assuming that the 11,000th episode is going to be next week, and I think that's when we're supposed to see Neil's mom. 2 episodes, probably early next week, and I think it should be good for giving us some Christoph St. John acting chops there too. I think Neil's gonna have some good work to do, and I'm also wondering if there are any other secrets that maybe Grandma Winters might be letting out of the bag while she's in town. Oh, those 11,000th episode intros. That was such a treat that I didn't even see coming. I didn't know they were going to give every episode all week a wonderful little retrospective. It was great how they divided it into different actors talking about their characters. We saw a lot of flashback scenes that weren't just your standard flashbacks, not the stuff we end up seeing all the time throughout the show. It really felt like YNR was digging back into their history, digging back into the reels to give us flashbacks that we're not used to seeing. Case in point, probably my favorite one was Victor and his mother. I don't think I've ever seen that scene with Victor and his mother. I mean, for as important of a character and an influence on Victor as she was, and for as often as Victor talks about his mother leaving him at that orphanage and using it as an excuse for everything that he does, we never see that. We've certainly seen his confrontation later in his life with his father, but I would think they would be playing that thing on a loop to get my heartstrings at least. I thought it was great. I loved the Eric Braeden interview talking about Gene Cooper. I loved seeing Nikki, Melody Thomas Scott, talking about the weddings. I mean, they did a quick little montage of all of the Nikki and Victor weddings and talking about their relationship. I thought that, and that was Monday's show, I thought that was wonderful. But there were a lot of other little moments that I liked. I appreciated even hearing Melissa Ordway, Abby, reveal that she was a soap opera fan growing up. I never would have guessed that. To me, she seems like somebody who could have been plucked right out of right out of casting. I wouldn't have expected her to have been a really big fan of the show, but she said she grew up with Nikki and Victor, so that's an interesting little tidbit. Of course, I loved the Jess Walton memories, the classic and Jill moments. I think I could never ever forget the time Katherine smashed Jill over the head with the vase, and the look on Jill's face, her eyes kind of cross and she goes down. There's so much goodness between Jill and Katherine, and I also remember the Doberman pinscher that Jill brought into the house, Ralph. That was so good. I mean, I loved seeing those. There's so many little arguments that have happened over the years between Jill and Katherine that again, they felt like they were pulling that deep out of the vault. It was good to see. I liked even Esther's perspective, talking about Katherine and Rex dressing up as the maid and the butler so that she could be the lady of the manor for the day. That was her favorite storyline, and it was just such. I believe I was watching it that time too, so it's kind of nice because Esther's character had kind of become really annoying to me over the years. She was very one-dimensional, but it was nice to go back and see that she's had her moments too. I loved the Michael and Lauren package, that Lauren's jab about her hair, and them showing us all her different hairdos over the year was definitely funny. She was probably one of the most fashion-forward characters, and so she probably had the most fashion-forward hair that's easiest to make fun of in retrospect. But I loved Michael's bad boy roots, showing him digging his way. I don't even know if they showed that, but they were showing how he was out to get Christine, and it was dark beyond dark, man. And I enjoyed also seeing Laura Lee Bell talking about her parents creating the show and how they loved her marriage to Paul Williams. That was their favorite storyline. I loved Kevin's fire starter past. I was just talking about that a couple weeks ago, that he was lighting Gina's on fire, trying to kill Colleen, and just seeing his fresh young face there. Oh, and the reveal that he was Michael's brother. I remembered that too. And then even, like, honestly, I thought the Kevin's little package was a really, it showed the evolution of the character from the fire starter to Michael's brother, all the way up to his relationship with Chloe. So that was kind of cool to see. They were all so good. It's like, if you've watched the show for any number of time, and I certainly haven't seen all 11 episodes, or 11,000 episodes, but it's like you remember where you were when you saw that scene, or sometimes seeing a scene jogs a memory about your own life that you didn't even know was there, or it just jogs something loose. It's just such a pleasure to see all of those all over again. I loved it. I hope they continue it next week. I don't know. I kind of wonder if maybe we've seen the last of them, but I certainly enjoyed them while they were here. And I've got to ask you guys this week, what was your favorite segment of the 11,000 special episode intros? If you want to go to yrchat.com and leave me your favorite parts of all of those intros. What was special to you? What did you remember? What jogged your memory? Go to yrchat.com, leave me your comments. You can interact with other chatters. Maybe other people remembered that too, or can provide some extra info if you haven't been watching a while and you were curious to know what that story or that flashback was about. You can leave questions and comments there. I'd really love to hear from you guys this week about your memories too of those 11,000 episodes. So definitely don't be shy and let me know how you guys were loving or not loving or remembering all of those wonderful flashbacks. You guys are killing me. Last week's Who Said It quote I didn't think was that easy. Talking to you makes me want to gargle glass. Phyllis said it about to Victor, and I thought it was such a good line, but I didn't expect everyone to guess that. So talking to you makes me want to gargle glass was last week's Who Said It quote. 23 people got it right, so bear with me. I'm gonna hope I didn't miss anyone, and I'm gonna read all of the winners' names, and I hope everybody got it right. So congratulations to Connor, James, Robbie, Aaron, Amber, Henry, Katie, Sandra, Ellen, Nancy, Harper, Tony, Tanya, Jasmine, Sharita, Dylan, Gina, Diana, Angela, Jamie, Melissa, Amanda, Nathalie, and I think that's it. Gosh, I hope I didn't miss anybody. I'm sorry if I did, but I thought that one was gonna be a little harder. The one that I wanted to do this week, I think would have been too easy. I liked that Dylan said to Kevin as he's running around town trying to figure out what happened to Adam, he said, "All roads lead back to Victor." And I thought that was a great line, but now I realize you guys are just too intuitive. I got to start making these a little bit more difficult. So I'll give you this one. This week's Who Said It quote: "Falling in love is the most dangerous thing you could ever do." Doesn't that sound like it could be the subtitle on a Harlequin book or something, or a romance novel? Falling in love is the most dangerous thing you could ever do. Who said it? YRChat.com is where you can leave your guess, and if you get it right, 23 or more of you will get your shout out on next week's YNR Chat. Anna had left me a voicemail this past week saying, you have to use, for the Who Said It quote this week, you have to make it, "My hair could be a storyline in itself." I loved that line too, but it would be way too obvious. I'd be reading out like 50 names. I think everybody probably heard that quote come from Lauren during her 11,000th episode intro. It was really funny though. I liked that line. My hair could be a storyline unto itself. I kind of feel that way about YNR Chat sometimes, because if you look back through the videos, I've got some bad hair. Gary left me a voicemail early in the week, and I was thinking about this all week, that 11,000 is kind of an odd number for celebration. Gary was mentioning it's like, you can almost kind of see 10,000 episodes make sense to have a big party, or, if it's a certain amount of years, but 11,000 episodes, it is kind of surprising that they decided to pick that odd number for a celebration. And I think Gary had even mentioned something about thinking of all of the soap operas sort of love to throw themselves a party. You could probably go back and look at all of the cast photos. Like, they always order a big cake for these celebrations, and you could probably, it would be interesting to go back and see all the photos of all the cakes and all of the cast standing behind the cakes. So I wonder if we get a picture somewhere of the 11,000th episode cake. That's got to be a good one. But I guess I kept thinking about the fact that soap operas almost kind of have to celebrate themselves because there's nobody else doing it. At this point, I feel like soaps are kind of, and I have always felt like this, that soaps are the sort of redheaded stepchild of television programming. I don't know why, because the actors and the writers and everyone involved in soap operas probably work twice as hard as any of the primetime shows. I mean, these guys are churning out content 5 days a week all year. I mean, there are no seasons, there are no breaks. Daytime deserves respect. They deserve a celebration if anyone does. And I think that that's, kind of why they end up celebrating themselves. There are not very many left. I mean, gosh, in their heyday, there were dozens of daytime shows, and now we're down to 4. So it's, you know, it's in a way, it's just this sadly dwindling genre of television, and it's kind of sad to see. But I mean, Y&R's still going so strong. I think that, you know, anything they can do to kind of publicize themselves and dig back into those memories and show how special soap operas are. If you think about it, most shows really at best could run for 10 years. Y&R's been on since what was it, 75, 74? I can't remember off the top of my head, but I mean, there are people that have literally spent their lives on this show, and I just think it's such a unique little treasure to be able to dig back into those flashbacks and show the storylines, show how characters have evolved, and how people have evolved, how the actors have evolved. It's just, I think it's a really cool genre. I wish more people would get into it. I know that when I first started watching, I thought that soap operas were a little dumb. I was a little ashamed of it. And I even remember when I started Y&R Chat, I guess, I don't know, what's that, 7 years ago now, I remember feeling a little paranoid about talking out loud about soap operas for the first time when I'd been watching them for so long, and I was afraid I was going to get made fun of, or, you know, that it felt bizarre to talk about soaps out loud and admit that I love them so much. And I remember even too, I used to think that Bold and the Beautiful was just like, well, that show's just smut. I mean, I always felt like Y&R was a step above. I'm a little snobbish about that because Y&R is the best one. But I used to think like, well, Bold and the Beautiful, that's just smutty. But then I realized this is great smut. So darn, you know, I love my soaps, and I am proud to be a soap watcher. I'm proud to support the soaps for now and for as long as they're on the air, damn it. Jasmine left me a comment at yrchat.com saying, Allie, since I know you'll be talking about the engagement party fashion, I will start off by telling you my best dressed. Sharon takes the cake for me. She looked stunning in that green sequined dress. Jasmine, I agree. I had a hard time taking my eyes off of Sharon all week. I don't know, I loved the bow that Victoria had on her dress. Sharon would have been my best dressed if not for, I think I just loved the uniqueness of Victoria's dress too, but those sequins were pretty darn gorgeous. T. Nicole at yrchat.com says, I loved Mariah in her red dress. She looked really pretty in that color. And as mentioned, Sharon looked great in her dress too. I'm so glad somebody mentioned Mariah too, because she did look gorgeous. We see Mariah usually in kind of casual clothes, but she brought it. She brought her kind of curly little hairdo. I can understand why Daniel's jaw dropped when he saw her. And Lauren R., by the way, at yrchat.com says that Mariah Daniel first look was everything. Oh yes, I just wonder if Y&R has any plans, or if that was just a little seed for the future. I would love it if you guys would tell me this week if you think Daniel and Mariah would actually make a good couple. Would you like to see Daniel back on the show full time? Do you think he and Mariah have some spice that could be built upon? And of course, I don't want you to forget to give me your best and worst dressed at the engagement party for the week. John Christopher on Facebook says, first we had Schick, then there was Fick. Now it looks like we're going to have Chick. Chick, I love that. John Christopher goes on to say they are really making it look like something is going to happen with Chelsea and Nick. Personally, I'd like to see it. I think it could be a good thing. Not as hot as Adam and Chelsea, but I do see Nick going all out to protect her and Connor. And Connor at yrchat.com says, I'm loving the fact that the show is pushing Nick to be a stand-in father figure for Connor. It just makes Chelsea and Nick grow closer, and I'm ready for the passionate hot sex session those two will have. Yes, Connor. You know that's coming. I mean, Nick is good for mostly one thing, for being an eye candy and for his classic lovemaking scenes. I mean, they should have done a Nick. Was Nick in the 11,000 episode intros? I don't think Nick and Victoria were. So maybe we'll still have some next week. But they could do a montage of all of Nick's sex scenes for his 11,000 episodes. Sandra at yrchat.com says, is it me or is YNR just getting better and better? Loving this week. The outdoor scenes again. Daniel, Noah, and Travis returning. I even admire in a way seeing Nikki realize Victor is responsible for setting up Adam. She came across more as a woman who knows the truth about her husband and chooses to stay with him rather than an ostrich putting her head in the sand, ignoring reality. So many good storylines going on. I couldn't agree more, Sandra. I personally loved the Nikki twist. I am so curious to hear what other people are going to say about that this week. Daisy on Facebook, for one, says, for once, Nikki's not drinking over Victor's crimes. She's a part of them. Well, I guess she thinks she's helping Victor correct the wrongs he committed against Adam, so she may not see it as a crime, which is better than her turning to the bottle. But now she's complicit. Alcohol or criminal? Had Victor known how good Nikki was at this, he could have used her help a long time ago and saved their marriage a lot of pain. Oh yes. What do you guys think? Would you rather see Nikki as an alcoholic or as a criminal cohort? I can't wait. I cannot wait to see the poll results on that one. Rocks Grace on YouTube says, I think Travis and Victoria are pretty, but they are both so listless. They always look half asleep in their scenes to me. So that's Rocks Grace giving us the other perspective on Tori and Travis. I need you guys to keep giving me your reasons why 59% of you weren't feeling Victoria and Travis as having that long-term potential. Are you like Rocks Grace in that you just feel like the actors don't have chemistry, or are you holding out hope maybe for Billy and Victoria? So I would love to hear some more as we go along on this journey, some more info about that. Angela at yrchat.com says, I like Travis, but now that it's mentioned that he could be Bella's daddy, there might be a strong possible reason he and Chloe's connection might not be over yet. Who knows? Daniel might even be the dad. She was gone for a long time and we have no idea where she is. That's an interesting idea, Angela. Maybe YNR is just doing a slow build. You never know. They could bring Daniel back and he could have some crazy connection to Chloe. Okay, the time has come for our Soap for Soap Fans fall giveaway entries. Yay! So, for fall, my absolute favorite season, I made up 5 of my YNR inspired cold process soap bars, and today we're going to start a giveaway where you can enter to win one. I picked all 5 of these because I thought that they would just be perfect yummy fall scents. Like, I just like wrapping myself up in sort of spicy and sweet and so just sort of like candy-y, vanilla-y, warm kind of scents. So I decided to remake our Jack and Phyllis bars from the original giveaway that we did like last August. So it's been a year since I've made these and they're both so good. They're just too good to I think to pass up for fall. First of all, Phyllis is really spicy and kind of, it's got this like orange exotic spice kind of vibe about it. I think it's very Phyllis. I colored this year's bar with Brazilian red clay, so it's got this gorgeous deep red color. This is my bar. You can't have it. This one's for me. But you will get one of them if you win. So Phyllis is kind of exotic and spicy, I would say. And then I've got the Jack bar here, which is probably one of my 2 favorites. This is sweet, kind of creamy caramel, but it's got this woody scent behind it. I don't think it's just for the guys because I personally really love this one. But I think that it would work for guys if you kind of like sweetness. Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones. I really like Jack. It's probably not the prettiest of all of the bars, but I think it's probably one of the best smelling. So I did Jack and Phyllis, and then I decided also to do Chelsea and Adam for fall this year. I did Chelsea and Adam for Valentine's Day last February, but I think these are both more fall scents. Again, these are my bars. This is kind of a tiny one, but this is my Chelsea bar. It's got like a really pretty kind of pink and purple mica top, and it's like a spicy blackberry. Yeah, it's a good one. Honestly, I feel like Jack and Chelsea are probably my two favorite scents. But this is sort of blackberry with a sort of Indian spice behind it. It's got some patchouli and some nag champa and some sandalwood in it, but it's lifted with that blackberry scent. And it's also, I think, probably the prettiest bar of all of them. And then I've got my Adam bar, which is, it's perfect for Halloween because this is just straight black licorice. I colored this year's Adam with a activated charcoal powder, so that's how it gives it its black color. And I think this is just, I literally just cut this off the end of the loaf. This one's mine, so it's not as pretty as the full bars that I'm gonna have for you guys. But the black and white bar, I think, represents Adam's character very well. And then I also had to remake my sweet crimson chai tea from the Coffee House collection that I did last winter. I love this scent. It was my favorite of the 3 Coffee House ones that we did, and I wanted it for fall. It's like vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg. It's like a good creamy cup of chai. And it was just like my big surprise of that whole set that I made. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, and it just is. So those are the 5 bars that I made, and the reason I'm describing them in detail is because I want you to pick which one you want to win. I've again got Phyllis and Jack. I've got Chelsea and Adam, and then I've got my sweet crimson chai. The actual bars that I'm gonna give to you guys are already wrapped up, so I'm kind of showing you my personal ones here. But if you enter into the drawing and let me know which one of these you would like to win, I'm going to just write all your names down on my little soap bubbles and do a random pick, and whoever wins will win the soap. The bars are bigger this time too, by the way. They're almost twice as big. So you'll really get a good sense of you'll get a good lather and a good sense of the bars with the bigger bars. Okay, so let me tell you, now I've told you what you can win, let me tell you how you can win it. I'm gonna run giveaway entries starting today through next Friday. I kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up last week so you'd know it was coming, because you absolutely have to get your entry in by Friday. And here's what you can do. Go to GenoaCitySoap.com. There's going to be a big banner where it says Soap for Soap Van Giveaway. It will show you pictures of all 5 of the soaps that you can choose from. Click the banner, and then in the comments, just tell me which one you want to win. You're basically entering in for the bar you want. So if, for instance, you like the Jack bar, just say, I like the Jack bar in the comments of the post, and then I'm going to write your name down along with the bar that you picked, and next Sunday, which is September 4th, we will come back and I'll show you the live drawing, and whoever gets picked will win the soap. I only have 2 real rules here. The first being that you get your entry in before Friday night so that I have time to pull everything together for the drawing on Sunday. And then my other rule is 1 entry per person, please. I can tell when you try to do duplicate entries, and it just makes me sad. So no cheating. If anybody tries to enter twice, I'm just gonna remove it, and believe me, I know who's doing it. So knock it off. This is fun, not for cheatings. I want everybody to have an equal chance. So once again, GenoaCitySoap.com is where you can enter through Friday, September 2nd at like 11:59 a.m. so that I have a chance to pull everything together on Saturday, and then I will draw the winner next Sunday, September 4th. GenoaCitySoap.com, you can choose Phyllis Spicy, Jack, sweet. I would say Chelsea's kind of sweet and spicy. Adam is black licorice candy deliciousness. And then I've got cinnamony, nutmeggy, sweet crimson chai here too. So whichever one of those scent descriptions strikes your fancy, that's how I would pick. I would pick based on scent, not based on like which character you like, because you may just, everybody has different things that they like, and you might like a character but not like the scent. So all of the scent descriptions, all of the photos will be there at genoacitysoap.com, and I will see you next week for the big winner reveal. Okay, everybody, that is it for me for this week, but I'm really excited about next week's shows and next week's soap giveaway. So come on back next week and we'll chat all about it. In the meantime, of course, you can also go to yrchat.com to vote in the polls, leave me your comments. From there, you can also find the Facebook and YouTube pages, and leave voicemails at 309-588-4569. I love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye!